Namaste, and thank you for watching the Memoirs of a Wannabe Yogi. So, I've been thinking about how I'm going to publish my memoirs and make a video blog. And it's been on my mind for some time now. And it dawned on me because I've been going back to my writings that go, let's say, 6 years ago. I'm a very different person now. And so when I go back and I read these words, I think to myself, wow, this is who I was at that moment and what I was experiencing and feeling, what I was contemplating about or asking questions. And so reading it, I felt as though if I publish it, it's going to look like it's a reflection of where I am now. It's going to take some time for someone to get to the journey of where I am now. So I thought what I'll do is I'll make a video on parts of my journals, and the writing part will be my diary, my memoirs, and this video will be kind of like a confession or discussion of what I feel now when it comes to this writing, type of words, and also where I see the future. So starting today, it will be based upon I came from a place that was a little ignorant, or a lot, I guess you could say, ignorant of the world. And with my infatuation with history during my high school studies, it slowly opened up my eyes to a world, especially because I didn't watch the news a lot at home of the present day at that time. And so I decided to go to university to become a English and history teacher. That changed along the way, but we'll get to that later. And so when I started writing my confessions as a journal for myself to really release, to express, to talk about to myself, I guess you could say, looking for answers. Sorry, there was like a little mosquito. And so now that I read these words, I recognize the fact that I was that girl that was really angry um, at the world. I was going through phases where watching the news and then reading about history, um, religion, and other scriptures, I just recognize the fact that we've lived such primitive life. Yes, we have evolved, but we have been very primitive. We still are. What I mean by that is, though our DNA will just show a glimpse of the difference between us and an animal, at the very same time too, we're different. And so I look at this world now, reading these words that I have expressed before, and I just see the fact that this is a time in our evolution as a species. Animals evolve. You can watch Planet Earth, for example, and see the fact that, let's say, a mountain lion throughout the many years, their coat, their skin, their body reflects their environment so that they cannot be found, so that it cannot be killed or eaten alive or whatever that is. And so that they can also prey upon other animals, because this is the life of an animal. But the difference is when we look at nature, we see that it's very rare. It happens, but it's very rare that animals take more than what they need. And it's sad to say, but when I watch Planet Earth and you see these two different animals fearing and preying upon one another, and at first you're like, oh my god, this is so violent, look at nature, how violent it is. But then you see that one animal goes back, let's say, with the mother and feeds like so many kids, so many little babies, and so you look at it and, oh wow, like they have to live too. This is how we're made. made. And so now looking at the human life is we take more than what we need, definitely. That's why we are here today. We're at this threshold, and many people talk about it on the internet, that 50-50. I heard that from a teacher I found online that is absolutely amazing. And it is true. We're at that 50-50 point now that I think many civilizations have gone through before, where we can either go down, like lower than where we are now, or we can go up and evolve. And as human beings, as a species on planet Earth, we are evolving from not only primitive, which is, I guess you could say, ego state more, and then to learning about life between lives, reincarnation, that those ideas, spirituality, awaken us to a second level of human evolution, which is soul aspect. And now we're at this point where we see more and more evidence that we are spirit having a human experience, not a human experiencing spirituality. And so saying that, looking at life now, I saw that back then I focused on the negative, I focused on the fear, the dark. I think many of us have to go through this path to move out of ignorance. At the very same time too, some of us, including myself, you kind of get stuck there. Not just in the sense of learning about the world out there, but also within. Because then when we get to see that we have a shadow self, which we were completely unconscious of for however long we did, that fear is still there. It doesn't erase. Now we just notice it. But some of us, many of us, focus on that fear. Depending on your teachers. For example, for me was Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. I think that, no, I know, I know that his words, his lessons and teachings changed me forever, but it wasn't like an instant thing. I guess you could say it was an instant thing, moment of clarity, because when you listen to his words, for myself, is that I resonated where I was experiencing what he was talking about at that moment, so I knew it was possible. And in that moment, I guess you could say that it had happened already, but because we live in this linear time and space, there's growth to be made. And so some people get it right away, but most of the time you have to experience that. You have to just solve it. And depending on each individual, it will take less or more time. But what is time anyways? Their experiences. And so for me, the focusing on not only on what's happening out there, but within is the fact, oh my God, I have this shadow self. Oh my, like I'm carrying this baggage, just really, really heavy baggage. Look at the things I've done or things that have happened to me, for that matter. For my own experiences, it was as though for the longest time I just kept on going. I guess you could say like a survival mode, which is what? Primitive. And so just kept on moving along, though you think that you let go of these experiences, most of the time they're suppressed. And then you get to a point, for myself, it was when I was 20, 21, a little bit before, maybe, but that's the time it happened to me. And I did a lot of deep down shadow work, and I stayed there for some time, pulled myself up and back from it many times. But the best lesson that I've ever heard from me that changed me forever at that moment, but is going to be a lesson for life, is, and I think I might have said this already before, but I'm going to say it again. Our teacher in our yoga studies had a blank piece of paper and took a pen and drew a line. It was a wave. A wave. And she asked us to just give our opinion on where we see this wave, and everybody did so. And then she asked, where do you see this in the hospital? Some people got it right away, and others had to think about it. And this line represented of someone that is alive, that has a heart monitor, right? And so our teacher explained that this is life, that there is ups and downs because we're alive. I mean, we cannot run from the fact that we live in a dualistic world, in the sense that there's life and death and everything else in between, for now. But in the meanwhile, she explained that if life was like this, what does that mean? That's when someone has taken their last breath. But we are not at that point of just stillness. We are here to learn and experience. So there is going to be this wave. But if we merge them, so you have this wave and you have this line, straight line. I'm trying to do it, but and so we're both. And what I might mean by that is we get to a point of we are neutral to what is. I guess I could say it's a straight path because you're looking straight ahead, and it's not to say it's a mean to an end, but you're on the path of enlightenment. You see the light and you're walking straight towards it. However, this light is also subjected to vibration, to movement, and so we move with this light and life. Everything that happens within our reality becomes a lesson and experience. There are times we will attach emotions, and that's part of the ego, and traumas and experiences, and we choose that to learn. But then we get to a point, and it becomes easier and easier to just be. Because if life just happens in the present moment, we cannot always change that. If something bad, let's say, for example, negative happens, it's just happened to us. Now, the only thing that we can change is our reaction to it. Do we resist it, or do we go with the flow? Does this mean that we're going to become like robots, like it looks like sometimes, machines? No. It's allowing us to balance both. That's why we're here. We've mastered dark for so long. During that time, there was light. And now we're at this point that we've experienced a lot of light as well, and so we're here to balance that. Not to suppress the dark, the shadow, not to pretend it's not there or to deny it, but to embrace it, to send it unconditional love, because that's the only way that it will dissolve within our lives. And I've learned that the hard way, I guess you could say, on a soul level, is when the lesson is not learned, it keeps happening. And then when you get to that point where you recognize it, you see, wow, this is a big one. And when we come to a point, and it happens many times, where we see that change in an instant, where we say, wow, so much has happened. I am a new person. I say these words because every single moment we are a new person. Yet, again, with linear time, we can look back to a month ago, months ago, years ago, and we look at who we were then and where we are now, and we see the difference. We can gauge that, which is a good thing because we see progress. What I find lately is that every single day is just the aha moments, the serendipity, synchronicities are absolutely mind-blowing. It's just sometimes I look around and I say, is somebody watching me? What's that movie with Jim Carrey? It'll come to me. Thank you for watching this video. I truly appreciate your time. Until next time, namaste.